Hey friends, welcome back to the channel with more of The Expanse. This is Season 4, Episode 5. Last we left off, Naomi and Alex and Lucia were headed up out of the atmosphere so that Naomi can heal up. Holden is heading into town and knocked Mercury to the ground but didn't finish him off. So he's going to try to, I'm guessing he's going to try to get Amos out, and then he's going to somehow try to facilitate the calming down of these two factions going at each other. I don't know how well he can do that with just him and Amos there. I don't know if he's even capable of getting Amos back on his own like that, but curious to see how this all plays out. We've also got Bobby supposedly working for that dirty cop, who it seems like is shipping military equipment, not weapons, but military equipment to the OPA, specifically to Marco and Naros. I don't know if that's for sure, but I'm making that connection. We'll see if that's the truth. Meanwhile, Marco Naros has gone free. We'll see what he's up to. I don't think he's going to sit on his hands like a good little boy. And then we've got this side story of Christian Avasarala versus Nancy Gao in the UN election. That'll be interesting to watch unfold. But anyway, guys, excited to continue. If you want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. We're also 1 week ahead over there as well, so check it out. Otherwise, let's get started.
They're here, 10 hours early.
Oh.
Really? At least blow it now before they land. Give them a chance to pull up.
Nah, fucking Yaroda.
This isn't what we planned.
No!
Oh. She's gonna try and blow it early. Oh, wow. Okay, that changes how I see things.
Yeah, then there was this place on Titan. I used to go there when I was in training. They had this
He's
little
headache.
corn with garlic butter, you know?
From this guy talking to him.
Not. That guy talks a lot.
Mason's an idiot.
A lot of those on your team.
Hmm.
You know, in a different context, this could be kind of fun. Come on.
Trade places with me and then we'll talk about it.
Don't be an asshole. I saved your life out there. You're so fucking weird.
Unlock him.
Not gonna happen. Put the gun down.
Don't kill her. She just hasn't figured out her boss is a dick.
You stay out of it. Fuck that.
Ooh.
Captain Holden, you left before we could finish our talk. The device my ship just blew up would have wiped this settlement off the map. We need to get everyone off the surface before something even worse shows up.
You're saying we need to evacuate?
Yes, immediately.
Unlock him. Run into orbit, then RCE will do whatever it can to aid your effort.
This isn't about your claim on
This
the
sexual tension in the middle of all this important stuff.
You acted against terrorists who killed innocent people and were planning further acts of violence, but I'm the bad guy. You and your friend here assault me and my people, but I'm the bad guy. Maybe I'll just got that kind of face.
You kind of do.
Both light shuttles in working order. Take the secondary one. Disable the safeties, rig it up for remote piloting, and put it on a proximity trigger.
You want me to make it into a bomb?
I want you to make it into an option.
God damn.
We need you to come off as more approachable, nurturing. The caring family matriarch. It tested.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's not her.
They're trying to help.
Caring matriarch.
It's an election debate. They just want you to play the game.
Fuck.
You and that RCE security.
And Felcia, was my daughter with her?
I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot. Where's his daughter?
The next thing could be a lot worse, and there will be a next thing.
You have no way of knowing that.
He actually does.
We need to get everyone off the planet right now.
But if we leave, they'll never let us come back.
That's
You go if you want.
also true.
The islands where all that weird lightning ended up started putting off heat like a supervolcano on a planet with no volcanoes.
You might want to get that checked out. Squatter camp hygiene makes for all sorts of nasty infections. Just itches.
Dr. Okoye.
It's green.
Tell me she's somewhere safe. That she's not with you.
What? Who?
Felcia, our daughter.
Maybe she heard when the shooting started. I'm sure she.
I have been every place!
What they saying about you and Coop? How could you be so stupid?
I wasn't stupid. I I did this for us. Someone had to be strong.
And I wasn't? I wasn't strong enough? Because I didn't want to bring the killing to this planet?
You can't let them make us leave. We have nowhere else to go. You have to fight.
All these terrible things you've done, they didn't save us.
Huh.
All they did was destroy the only thing we had left.
Yeah, she got real blurry. That's what that meant. Oh, crap. Do it. What do you... Why don't you want help?
No orders, just staying ready.
Watching your ass is always a good idea.
Oh, you hitting on me?
Not right now.
Watching your ass. Not right now.
Disappointing.
Complicated. Need to know. None of my business. Enough of that shit. You are connected to this, and you are withholding information.
I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Were those gunshots?
Yeah. Oh, shh. There's no de-escalating this, is there?
I want to ask the candidates how they would protect us from a second Eros incident.
The Eros incident was a frightening moment for all of us. It was also an opening to a new era. The existence of alien life gives us, all of us, unimaginable opportunities.
Not answering
And I
the
think
question.
The real danger of Eros is that we only react to it from fear. What we need now is leadership that can embrace the possibilities while managing the risks.
You ask how I would protect Earth from another Eris incident? The same way I did last time.
I believe healthcare infrastructure is underfunded when it comes to dealing with the undocumented population.
Mercury's waiting until he has a plan for rescuing his people on the trading post.
Same here.
Mercury has no right making them leave, and neither do you.
If they die here, it's on me.
And it's on the Inners for fighting over Ganymede. And some aliens for creating the protomolecule and shooting it at Earth. And it's on the Belters too. Tell them the truth and let them decide for themselves.
Yeah, all right, I'm not trying to intrude upon you or nothing. I just thought you might enjoy a little.
Naomi!
Oh, Christ, she about to bleed her in there.
Jeez.
I don't even know what the hell I'm looking for in here.
That's all right.
Cabinet's full of blood. I can't see anything.
She wants to die?
Look, do not make me tell your daughter I had to let you die. Fucking tell me what to do!
Suction.
Suction.
Sorry.
Sorry. Where's that line, Naomi?
I'm working on it.
Medtech in the future is interesting, to say the least.
Sorry I yelled at you.
I can't even die right.
I'm unarmed!
Oh, shit.
Oh shit, indeed.
Being him.
Being him.
There is no law or policy so well made that a culture of shortcuts, preferential treatment, and corruption cannot degrade it.
Ouch.
Any change we make must be rooted in fairness. My opponent exploited political connections.
Nobody cares,
jump the
honestly.
line, and take the spot and make the system fair again.
This is not... It's not a good. It's not a good ploy.
Tonight is the first time she's ever interviewed for a job.
Ugh.
My opponent has asked what happened to the person whose place I took. George, would you stand up, please?
Whoa.
George Cantor was
Yeah,
my first alternate. When I got my appointment at the regional government, I hired George to work with my policy research team. He now runs it. My third alternate was Christoph Heimer. Sadly, he died of an overdose and never got off the rolls. Because that's the lie, isn't it? 6,000 people fight for one slot. And we say anyone can make it. Any one of those 6,000. Not 2. Not 10. We all just want a chance. We aren't afraid to work hard. We aren't afraid to take risks. And with 1,300 new solar systems, we can provide that opportunity for everyone. What we deserve is a government that gives us a chance.
Yeah, she won that exchange by a lot.
Has affected our comms and drive controls. We are working to correct it. We have children on board.
The drive signature on record also matches a colony ship called the Sojourner.
The one the Belter said was lost to scrap?
What?
Kill it. Destroy the ship immediately.
If we were supporting colony ships instead of stranding them out where they're easy prey for piracy, it wouldn't have.
Oh shoot! The numbers. The numbers. Jeez. Gao's in the lead, and she's never letting go.
Do you mind if I come in?
It's your ship.
She entered a dark place too when Philip was taken.
I've been where you are right now. We could turn off the drive, leave them on the drift. Rescue them for a price later. The first one we tried was the Augustine Gamara, the father of my child. He used my code to overload the reactor. We killed 516 people. I chose not to see what kind of man my lover was until it was too late. Then when I told him I'd never help him again, it was the last time he let me see my little boy. I have a life that I like living. There is a path from where you are to where I am.
There's no stopping this, is there?
I started being contacted by a man I knew who died on Eros. The proto-molecule was somehow projecting him into my brain. The things that I was supposed to report to are gone. They were killed.
This person in your head that no one else can see told you that.
I had a vision when I was inside the ring station.
Oh, the ghost didn't tell you, but the vision did. I can see why you didn't tell anyone.
Maybe you did make it worse, but this place is our only hope. We're not giving it up.
There is no version of this where we abandon our charter and we leave these squatters and murderers in possession of this planet.
You're nothing but thieves, so you came here to steal everything we built.
It's not happening.
His truth wasn't gonna calm things down. Damn it. That's some mighty interesting info. What?
Oh my god.
Oh. Alright, so a lot of things happened this episode. We learned that Lucia really didn't want to hurt anyone. We got that flashback where she just wanted to deter the Inners from coming in and kicking all the Belters out. And she actually tried to stop the other Belters from waiting till the Inners were closer before blowing everything up. And yeah, she's taking a lot of personal responsibility for it. I don't want to say too much, but possibly too much. I mean, she feels guiltier than the Belters who actually did the crime, so... or who actually wanted to kill people, rather. And I understand where her husband... I understand where her husband is coming from, too, though. Daughter is missing, and it seems like it might be retaliation for her blowing up the shuttle from the Edward Israel. They were fleeing things to different degrees when they were coming to this planet. She was more escaping from the Inners, and I'm sure he was concerned with that too, but he was also fleeing violence, and for that to come to Illis as well, it's a tough situation. And Falcia, I feel like if Murtry had taken her, we would have found out already. Like, she could be hiding. When there's chaos, people also take that as an opportunity to do what they otherwise couldn't. So I thought she might have snuck on board the Rocinante because she has her own dream to be like Naomi, to be an engineer. But if that were the case, she would have shown herself already, right? And I'm sure the Rocinante is, well, the technology on the Rocinante is good enough to know that there's somebody who snuck aboard. Though Kelso, is that his name? Kelso? He snuck aboard too, so I don't know. But Lucia, after hearing her husband chew her out, after feeling guilt for killing those 23 inners and the ensuing violence it's caused, she sees that she's bleeding out and just lets it happen. Thankfully, Alex found her, but he almost just like turned away, so she almost died. It didn't even occur to me that she was committing suicide when she first decided not to call for help. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, your child is missing. Go find her. Go, like, talk. And I guess she just felt like so powerless. It's not like she could have helped search for Falcia from up in space. And that surgery scene where Alex has to get her to help him to save her. I got some chills from that. And then Naomi coming to talk to her afterwards tells her the story of how she killed hundreds, how she didn't see the kind of person Marco Inaro was, and then how her son went missing. And I feel like it was the proper message to send to Lucia, but it feels like we're building towards Philip's story. So if it isn't coming back in the last half of this season, it feels like it's going to come forward next season at the very. I'm assuming it's going to happen at some point. Holden manages to get Amos free, and Chandra Way almost got into it with him. But yeah, her and Amos's relationship is so weird, and I kind of love it. Amos says she just hasn't realized her boss is a dick yet, but will she? I don't know. She seems extremely loyal and quick to dismiss anything he's been doing so far, but I don't know. Murphy winds up having one of his men rig up the shuttles to blow, or rig it that it's an option for the inners to blow up the Belters. Definitely feel like that's something that's going to come into play later. But the Belters don't want to leave, so who knows. But meanwhile, the scientist on the Edward Israel tells Okoye that the islands are heating up like supervolcanoes on a planet with no volcanoes. Just what the heck is going on with this planet? And then at the end of this episode, we see like an explosion. It's like a huge bomb. It's like a mushroom cloud. I don't know. Something's screwy with this planet. And I think as much as the Belters are right that if they leave, they'll never be allowed to come back, it feels like their lives are in danger, big time. And also one of Marty's security forces has like a green glitter looking thing surrounding her eye, and Okoye suggests that she have it looked at, and she's just, it just itches, like it's nothing. Like, if certain parts of your body are turning green, you're not okay. Green. But yeah, Holden kind of feels the need to take personal responsibility for everything on Illis, though. He feels like he started everything, and everyone's death will be on him if he doesn't evacuate everybody. And Naomi does a good job of giving him, shaking him a little bit from space and trying to rein him in a little. So not everything is Holden's fault. So many things were involved, and it isn't for Holden to decide whether or not the Belters should evacuate. It's not for him to decide to force them to evacuate. If they refuse to leave, she even said that their deaths are just as much on them, which, yeah, it's the first time we've seen her. She's not necessarily saying anything negative about them, but to admit fault on behalf of the Belters, is something we haven't seen from her before. And yeah, near the end, I kind of couldn't believe that Holden just came out and told everyone that there's a voice in his head that's telling him how things work with the ring and these planets. That's just like a really hard thing to accept, and I feel like most people will just think he's certifiable instead of taking him seriously. But we didn't see Bobby this episode, but we got to see a lot of the politics on Earth, and that was really, really fun to watch. As me, some people who watch my channel know that I'm a bit of a political junkie, but U.S. politics in particular. But as much as I like Christian, she's not a good politician. Like, she focused on the big picture humanity thing, and it's very difficult for people who like, people can't think that big when they can't even tend to their own needs. The number was like, out of 6,000 applicants, 1 gets chosen, which is ridiculous. And most of us, for instance, as an example, most of us correctly believe that climate change is a huge threat to this planet, and yet it's so difficult for us to focus on that when we have a situation in the United States where half of us would go into debt if we got an unexpected bill for $500. And yeah, the more people have to focus on just surviving, the less time and energy they have to focus on bigger issues. So yeah, Christian's strategy to show herself as this person who can protect them from something so big doesn't resonate with the people. And yeah, Christian was just like, during her practice section, she was like, who gives a fuck about grain storage? I'm sorry, Christian. Everyone gives a fuck about it. Like, she's never had to live that, so she doesn't understand it. We've never seen her once interact with an everyday, ordinary citizen, unless you count the crew of the Rocinante, but they're like kind of superhero people. And Bobby is from a different planet. And so she can't understand what's most important to these people. She feels too disconnected from it. The first question comes, though, in that debate, and Nancy seemingly bungles the first question. Like, she turned it... They were asking about, like, how do we do to... How would you protect us from a second Eros event? And she turned it into a talk about how we shouldn't let our fear over Eros cloud the fact that it could lead to so much opportunity, unlimited opportunity. And she actually looked like smug and very happy with her answer. And I was just like, at first I was like, yeah, you kind of didn't answer the question. Like, you are not addressing these people's fears. But then again, I'm like, oh yeah, because people might have fears, but that's a problem too big for them to conceptualize when they're starving. And yeah, like, it was kind of a bad look that she doesn't answer the question, but people are so desperate for a better life that her answer still resonates with them. Like, their lives were as much of a struggle before Christian helped save them as... Like, it was as much of a struggle before Christian saved them as after she saved them. So it kind of looks like Christian kicked her, like, Nancy's butt on that issue when she says that she was in the Situation Room last time and she was able to keep everyone safe. But yeah, it's true that Christian probably would be better for the safety of humanity, but on the other hand, Christian helped avert a catastrophe when she wasn't even UN Secretary General, so she wouldn't need this job. She wouldn't need to continue in this capacity in order to protect Earth's people in the future. So yeah, she could do that even if she doesn't win this election. So it's she doesn't in the end, it turns out that she didn't win that interaction, I think. Nancy herself has a kind of look like, oh, I lost that, like, first question, but I mean, this is 300 years in the future in a fictional world, so I could be completely off base, but in retrospect, that first question moved the needle a little for Nancy, I think. But then it goes to the topic of Basic, and Christian brings up how Nancy basically cheated the system. And I was like, that is a losing argument to start with. Like, nobody cares. Like, she herself is completely clean. I was thinking Nancy was going to dig up some dirt on her, but maybe she had it, but she didn't use it because it was ended abruptly, the debate. But yeah, Christian starts talking about how every policy has to be based on fairness, talking about how Nancy had friends in higher places to help her get through the lottery. And I said in the moment that nobody cares about this line of attack, and it wasn't going to work. And because, like, if you look at our current system, if you look at Trump in particular, massive liar and cheater, talking about how he built his empire with a small loan of $1 million, never mentions the fact that he inherited $413 million from his father's estate when he died, has evaded taxes for decades and tells his supporter that he's smart for paying as little taxes as he does. And people still flock to him because he was pretending to represent the people. So people will line up for you if you speak on their behalf. Trump was lying, but Nancy is truthful at the very least in her desire to help everyday people. It was her parents who pulled the strings, not her. And so finally she played that beautifully by showing that what she did for the person who lost their spot to her and the many others who even had a possibility of taking that spot. Again, 6,000 people fighting for one spot to be employed. She's right. It's a lie that anyone can make it. And she made that point beautifully. I am a little surprised the polls switched so quickly, though. But Nancy Gao, unless something completely drastic happens, that's not changing. But yeah, things don't tend to change so quickly in our current times. I'm guessing with technology and with unemployment so high, people have time to actually pay attention to these debates, and the polling is probably done at a much quicker pace too, with easy access like verifying identities and stuff like that for polls. And yeah, political trends tend to take months in our current time. At first I was like, oh, Nancy probably moved the needle a couple points with that solid answer, but yeah, she moved the needle a lot, it turns out. And I'm actually very curious about voter suppression in this world, because it's rampant right now. I can't tell you for sure about other countries other than Russia, obviously doing it at a very high level, but yeah, in the 2016 Democratic presidential primary, like more than 200,000 registered Democrats in New York, in Brooklyn specifically, couldn't vote despite voting in every election for years. And then there's like the gerrymandering so that Republicans can manipulate who their constituents are and stay in power without looking after everyday people's interests. And yeah, I just kind of really, really want to know, like, how did the future, how did the Expanse, the world of the Expanse, address these issues? Or did they not address them at all? Is it even worse? Like, one of the questions was about how there was inadequate infrastructure in healthcare to treat the undocumented on Earth. And we have that same problem now. So, like, the wheels keep turning, but nothing really changes. That's depressing, but I would love to know more about this world. I assume there's a lot more in the books, which makes me want to read the books a lot. But yeah, Christian gets pulled out because something's going down with a ship coming at their defenses. And I'm not entirely sure. I feel like I have an okay grasp on what's going on there, but I'm not entirely sure about everything. I have like a basic theory, but it makes a lot of sense, but I feel like there isn't enough evidence to back it up. So the ship called out for help as a ploy. The UN sees a drive signature that's a match to the Sojourner, which is the UN ship that Marco Inaros pillaged. And he said he had stripped it for parts, but negotiated with his freedom by giving the spoils to the rest of the Belters. But in reality, the Sojourner was still intact. And then he went and launched this ship at the Inners to test their defenses. But the person who sent the message to the UN from the Sojourner, is it possible they were telling the truth? Did they have kids on board? Like, Marco Inaros could have sent this ship back towards Earth and like rigged it and like sabotaged it, and so that there were unknowing Belters on the Sojourner, knowing the Inners would have to shoot it down. And Christian choosing to fire on the ship, he could twist that and say that the Inners turned on the Belters again, and then he wouldn't need to sit on his hands like a good little boy anymore, right? Which is super nefarious. If that is exactly what is happening, Drummer and Ashford will know what's up though, and so will the other leaders present at the vote for Marco's life. So they can go after him full tilt now if what I'm saying is right. But yeah, after all that, Nancy Gao takes advantage of that too, saying that these ships wouldn't have been pillaged if they weren't held up at the ring and were allowed to explore. So yeah, Nancy's in the lead, I believe, by 14 points. It was 57-43, I believe. Yeah, something drastic would need to change if Christian wants to stay UN Secretary General. But yeah, really, really enjoyed the political intrigue in this episode. Things on Illis are really ramping up. I'm going to give this an 8.5. Yeah, an 8.5 feels right. I really do hope we get to see more politics, though. I'm in love with that kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, friends.